Today we'll do a deep dive into those big elections. Remember, tomorrow morning, Gujarat, the Prime Minister and the Home Minister's home state start counting, as does Himachal, where our Axis My India poll has predicted a virtual dead heat between the two main parties, BJP and Congress. What lies ahead? Rahul has some scenario modeling for you.
Okay, so here's the way things are poised. A few hours before counting begins, we know that the BJP is likely to win. But what's the best case scenario for the BJP? What's the worst case scenario for the Congress and for the AAP? What's the best case scenario? Where do you get bragging rights? At what level can you say we won big or someone else lost in a big way? So who gets bragging rights on Thursday? Here it is. I'll start with the Aam Aadmi Party, because there's been so much conversation around the Aam Aadmi Party and what their best case scenario for Gujarat is. If they get anything more than 20% of the votes or more than 20 seats, the AAP will say we've arrived in a big and dramatic fashion and that we are now the potent force in Gujarat. We'll take on the BJP next time. Bad case scenario for the AAP is when they get less than 10% of the votes, less than 5 seats, then the BJP will say it was all a media creation, hawa nikal gayi balloon ki, the AAP is tanta-effis and everything else that goes with it, because the AAP would have not done as well as they would have hoped, and some of the excitement and the hype that they built. A moderate case, which is not so good but not so bad, you get some presence, but it's not as if it's phenomenal, but it's not as if it's pathetic either, is between 10 to 20% of the vote share and between 5 and 10 seats. Between 5 and 10 seats is the moderate case scenario for the Aam Aadmi Party. From here, let's now come and look at the best case scenario for the BJP and the worst case scenario for the BJP. Anything more than 50% of the votes and 150 plus seats, the BJP will say balle balle. This is breaking Madhav Singh Solanki's records. They've got their eyes on 149. They'll be happy with 127. But if they can get 149 plus, the BJP will literally be in seventh heaven, because it's the 7th time they'll be winning in Gujarat, and that too with a massive record. A bad case scenario is if they get less than 45% of the votes. Remember, not since 1995 have they won anything less than 45% of the votes. So anything less than that is not good news. Anything less than 99 seats is not good news, and that would be problematic. Not so good but not so bad scenarios if they get between 45 and 50% of the vote and 110 plus seats, which again is quite phenomenal given that you're fighting and winning for the 7th time, but not as good as the BJP would want. From the Congress's perspective, does it stay as a force in Gujarat, or is it the beginning of the end for the Congress? If they get anything more than 50 seats or 30% of the vote, the Congress would be delighted. It will be a big come down from the last election, but they'd still be delighted. They won 42% of the vote in the last election, but anything more than 30, given how this campaign has been, the Congress would be quite happy. Bad case scenario is if they get less than 15% of the vote or less than 30 seats. That could really be the beginning of the end for the Congress. A moderate case scenario is less than 20, more than 20 but less than 30, and between 30 and 50, which again puts the Congress in a very, very awkward situation. Rajdeep, if you were a betting man, which of those scenarios do you think is most likely to unfold tomorrow?
I'm not a betting man. I'm more interested at the moment who reaches the World Cup finals, to be very honest.
Who do you think is reaching the finals?
Look, my heart says Brazil versus Portugal. My head at the moment says Argentina versus the winner of France and England.
Okay, so if this is a World Cup of politics, the BJP is playing like which team in your view?
You know, the BJP at the moment in Indian politics at the moment is a bit like the Brazilians were in their pomp. Not at the moment. You know, the Brazilians...
But that's a lot of flair. BJP is a lot of planning, a lot of method, a lot of organization.
That's right.
It's like the taka-tak football of Spain.
Yeah, but, you know, I prefer to use the BJP's analogy more to the West Indies cricket team of the 70s, because it is total domination. You know, that's what the BJP wants in elections. It's an election machine, and it sort of looks to dominate an election. And Gujarat is a good example. Look at the man-to-man marking that they've done, targeted specific constituencies, the resources that the BJP has put into this election. Prime Minister Modi, of course, himself, son of the soil. So from all angles, Hindutva, the BJP tries to encircle their opponents in states like Gujarat through their sheer power. On the other hand, Himachal, could reveal some of the limitations of that same model. You know, it's not one size fits all. There is anti-incumbency on the ground in Himachal to a far greater extent than Gujarat. Can that model survive? So, you know, I would use the cricketing analogy, much more a West Indies style attempt to sort of intimidate your political rivals.
If this is the World Cup of politics, Congress is playing like which team at this moment?
The Congress is playing like which team at the moment in the World Cup? Look, the Congress at the moment is like those teams which had a great past but are struggling at the moment. And I'm trying to think which are those...
Italy didn't even make it.
Italy didn't even make it. That's a good example. You know, Italy didn't even make it to the World Cup final. Is a three-time winner of a World Cup. So, you know, a bit like the Italians, not in the picture at the moment really, you know, but who knows? You know, the Italians won the Euro soccer only a year ago, so maybe the Congress could win a Himachal and suddenly say, look, we are also in the game. The Aam Aadmi Party
is playing like which team?
The Aam Aadmi Party is the new kid on the block. So I'd like to think at the moment that they're a bit like the Moroccans were. They're resilient. You know, they were perhaps given less of a chance than any of the other teams at the moment, but they're very, very resilient. And, you know, they've made it now to the quarterfinals of the World Cup for the first time. And I can see the Aam Aadmi Party...
But the Moroccans had less pomp and show.
The Moroccans had less pomp and show, yes. So...
Okay, I'm going to tell you what, Rajdeep's going to think about the same question all evening. He'll come back tomorrow with different answers to the same question.
See, as I said, you know, I come from Goa. And in Goa, the dream final that we've been waiting for a World Cup for years, for decades, is Brazil versus Portugal. You know, it's called the Lusitania. There's a very interesting tournament called the Lusitanians. Like the Commonwealth Games, very few people know that all the Portuguese colonies play a sport called in the Lusitanian Games, where Goa sends a team. So, you know, we are hoping that that day, every Goan on the beach will either have a shirt of Cristiano Ronaldo or will have a shirt of Neymar. So for us, the dream match would be Brazil versus Portugal. But let's talk of elections. I thought those scenarios you gave are very interesting. To my mind, the more interesting one, all of it, to my mind, in Gujarat will depend on what the AAP gets. If the AAP is less than 20%, I believe that the Congress will have a better day in the office than expected. If the AAP gets 20% and more, I think the Congress will be hurt and the BJP benefits.
Okay.
That's how I see it.